Hello, I'm Skyler Rossi. I'm a reporter here at Times of Entrepreneurship. This is the first of many on-demand interview videos we plan to publish. We published some in the past, and we want to provide you with more access to information and advice from the entrepreneurs, experts, and leaders that we talk to. In this video, I interviewed Danielle Neal on January 4th about her business, Digital with Danielle. She's 25 years old and based in Baltimore, Maryland, and she offers social media marketing to business owners and entrepreneurs. I thought Danielle had some really helpful advice on how to get started building a marketing agency. She shared a lot about her experience finding the right pricing and also building a customer base. She launched in 2020 and she quit her job as a teacher in 2021 to pursue this full time. Now she brings in about $6,000 in revenue each month. I really hope you enjoyed the interview. And as always, you can reach me at srossi@timesofe.com. Tell me about Digital with Danielle. What's your sort of like elevator pitch, I guess?
Yeah. So Digital with Danielle is essentially a marketing agency that teaches you about digital marketing and then leaving you more informed than you came. So making sure that whatever kind of knowledge that you had before coming to me with social media marketing, I'm actually empowering you to be able to not only do it yourself, but if you want to train your team and your team is able to do it with, you're able to do it with them. So I launched Digital with Danielle during the whole panorama, as we call it. It was something that I've done social media marketing in college, but I didn't know it was called social media marketing. I was just running our Compensate University's education account. And so through that, I was doing what I just found out was organic marketing. So while learning, I was doing organic marketing, just running their account, being able to get people to come to our events, actually updating our highlights to make them look a little better and not so boring and stuffy, and doing all those things and making our profile optimized. So once after I was done with that, I became a communications director for a nonprofit in Baltimore. And then through that, I decided to use those skills that I learned there to be able to actually launch my own business, calling it Digital with Danielle, because you're literally learning digital with me. And that's the person you're talking to.
That's cool. So are you like doing the services for your customers, like the social media and all the marketing services, or are you just teaching them how to do it?
Yes, I do DFY, so done for you, and also done with you. And then
Okay.
I also have a DIY path as well too. So there's some times that people just say, hey, Danielle, I'll take your ebook and I'll be able to do it myself, or I take your course and do it myself. And then there's some who the done with you, where it's like, I want to learn, can you train my team? And then the done for you is like, Danielle, here's all our stuff. Can you do social media management for us and just give us a social media strategy plan? And then we'll be able to follow it that way.
Cool. That's sweet. Um, so yeah, I'd love to learn more about your journey building your business. What was your whole experience with that through the pandemic, and just when you decided to leave teaching, what did that look like?
Yeah, so Canva Pro was my best friend, right? During this entire time. I know we all see like the canva.com commercials, but it literally can help you launch a business for entrepreneurship. I started to as I just would be on Instagram, I would just go live and talk about what I saw from my point of view of what it was lacking and what people were struggling with. And then turns out that's the things I was just talking about, because I'm a whole extrovert. Like literally, I'm like Erin from The Office. But just talking about stuff, I learned that this is actually pain points for people. They were struggling with those social media things. And so by me going live on Instagram, talk to them all the time and just creating content all the time, just because I like to talk, turns out my talking actually helped people out. So they had IGTV content, and through that, I was able to actually book services. So I decided to launch a website, actually figure out how to do it myself, because I'm just techie and I like to learn stuff anyway. Launch my website, call it Digital Danielle, buy the domain for 99 cents like everybody does.
Yeah.
And then launching it on there and just putting about me on there, putting my services on there, and learning how to price within the market. A main thing that I would really like to a lot of entrepreneurs that are coming up to learn is that just because you're just starting out doesn't mean your prices have to look like you're just starting out, because you have the experience. You've come from corporate, or you may have done it even for your school, or even if you majored in it, it's still experience. And just because you're new to them doesn't mean that you're new to this. So you're actually capable of doing it even though you look new to them. So make sure you're pricing within market. And so once I started to see, well, oh, Danielle, you're pricing way too low, like this is why people are excited to do this with you, because you're pricing so low, like you're literally like Dollar Tree in the market. Actually making sure that if I want to have premium clients, that I actually am giving a premium experience and also doing premium pricing. So I can't say that I'm the Ruth Chris of like social media management, and then they come to me and they're like, oh, this is actually just a $10 meal from Wendy's, like 4 for $4. So making sure that I'm actually pricing premium, and that allows me to be a better entrepreneur. Through the journey, I learned a lot about not only pricing, but also how to position yourself as an expert, that because you know it, you are starting to learn consistently. And then because they don't know something, you are an expert to that person. So just actually not letting things like imposter syndrome make you feel like, oh, I'm not really capable, which you are capable because you have done it before.
I love that. I'm curious how did you kind of navigate figuring out what was a good price? Because I know like a lot of things aren't like public, and some people might have a hard time like kind of gauging like where the rest of the market is, especially if you're brand new to like having your services. So what was your process there to figuring out like a good price point?
So it was once again talking to people, really asking, well, hey, what are you pricing at for this? Actually leaning on to people and just reaching out. I always believe in raising your hand. Like the worst thing that they can say is no, but if you go out and you ask them, you'll be able to actually find out. So finding out through other people who are doing social media management, who are within that 1 to 2 year range, just like me, or they just started their business recently. I also had joined what is called Trove Social Academy. And through that, it allows social media managers to know through paid transparency, are we being paid correctly? Am I starting my market correctly? And through learning, being mentored by Danielle, I was actually able to learn from her, and then also another girl named Bianca Tatum. So learning from both of them was allowing me to actually learn, okay, Danielle, you need a price higher. And then also you have too many things that you're offering for this price. So being able to know that this prevents me from burning out as an entrepreneur. And then it also allows you to do better pricing, because you're not trying to do 30 different things. It's kind of like when you look at a Cheesecake Factory menu, you love it, but it becomes a little overwhelming. And sometimes we think that our service menu has to be like that, but you can actually be good at what you do, just being able to make sure you know what you're capable of giving to the client.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I had so many people like say the same thing. It's like you want to offer it all, but then it's like you can't do that. And
You can't. Yeah.
Specialize now. It makes a lot of sense. So yeah, as I've said already, I know you left teaching through this process. Why did you decide to leave, and what was the moment for you where you decided to take the leap into your business full time?
Yeah, so I took the leap in May of 2021. So I was before I even became a teacher, I was actually doing it. So it was my first year of teaching, and then I was like, I like this, and I promised myself I wanted to actually just try teaching, because it is my major, early childhood education. I wanted to at least just give myself that chance to try it. And then once I did it, I was like, this is great, but I'm ready to go to marketing. And so I noticed that everything that I learned in teaching was something that I could bring over to marketing and communications, because just like with working with the students, you have to still make lesson plans, which is similar to making social media marketing plans. You have to appease the parents, which is similar to appeasing the customers. You have to know what's happening in your industry and keeping up with education laws, which is the same thing with keeping up with Facebook Business Suite and Facebook Ad Manager. It's all within the same thing, and it all the same thing that I noticed is that everyone wants to be seen, whether it's the students in my classroom, whether it's the teachers that I work with, whether it's my principal, whether it's the people that I'm working with in social media marketing. Everyone wants to be seen and valued. And so what I really wanted to make sure is that I wasn't just throwing digital marketing knowledge at people and expecting them to understand it, but I'm really teaching you. Just like when I was teaching my students, I noticed that I actually had to, that's why my tagline is guiding you through the digital space, because I've noticed that the difference with a lot of people is that they would just give you the knowledge, but they didn't guide you through it. So you're throwing $5,000 at a program, and then no one actually guided you through the actual thing. And it's not necessarily hand holding, but we all need guidance. That's just the human thing. We all need guidance. On Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you need food, love, and shelter. And guidance is also in there because you're getting love. Love is guidance. And so if you love what you do, you love the industry that you work in, you have to guide people in that industry. And so when I was leaving teaching, I said, well, Danielle, we're going to have to take the leap. It wasn't like Andy from The Office. You're going to get a lot of Office references. It wasn't like Andy from The Office where like he just burned all the bridges. But I told my principal, this is great. I love this experience. I love learning. I told all my parents. I told all my students. They were like sad, of course, because kids are always sad about people leaving. We all are. But they were sad, of course. But actually, I noticed that if I didn't do this for myself, I couldn't be an inspiration to the students that I serve. And I wanted the students that I serve to be able to see that you don't have to be locked into what people say, essentially, right? You don't have to be locked into the normal path. As we see with people on TikTok, you literally just start something today and you end up blowing up because you're following your passions. But with following your passions, actually pursuing them in a way that makes sense for you, not just doing it because it seems like the comfortable route. And it's okay to take the uncomfortable route. It's okay to take the uncomfortable path. It might look a little scary, but the uncomfortable path is the best path.
Yeah, that's great. I feel like, and maybe you disagree, but with like the pandemic and everything, like one silver lining is there's so many people who are prioritizing themselves and their passions and like getting the confidence to do what you did, like taking the leap.
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool.
Oh, thanks.
So what was going on in your head as you were making this transition? Like, was there any fear or worry, or was it mostly just excitement? Like what was going on?
Yeah, it was like a bowl of spaghetti feelings. Like that's the only way I can really explain it. There were like so many feelings. Yeah, so it was the fear of, well, Danielle, what are we gonna do? Right? Like, what is it going to be like? Are you going to actually get clients? Are you going to not be able to get clients? Or like, who are you going to be? Just figuring out what I wanted to be, and also figuring out what my identity will look like now that I'm not a teacher. So a lot of times when we have professions, our identity is so wrapped up in a profession that when we leave that profession, we're like, okay, so who am I now? And noticing that it's not about the profession, but it's actually about what my purpose is. So what is my purpose in life, and how can I pursue that purpose in order to also help others and inspire others? So it was that fear. Then it also was a little bit of confusion, because it was like, so like, what do we do? Like, how do we get started? You know, with teaching, you just go in, you know, your path, it's kind of, it's already laid out for you. But with entrepreneurship, you're kind of learning as you go. It's kind of like when you first get like pottery and clay, like a pottery class. You have the clay, you know what you want it to look like in your mind, but then you're like, oh, this looks like a foot and it was supposed to be a vase. Like stuff like that is kind of what entrepreneurship is. You're kind of molding it to make it what it's supposed to be for you. And that's why I had all those feelings, because it's new. I wasn't born an entrepreneur. It just kind of happened. And I would hear that term all the time and I didn't understand it. I thought entrepreneur is like, I have to, you know, be the next Jeff Bezos, or I have to actually be the next Elon Musk, when actually entrepreneurship is what you define it as. And once I realized that, I was like, oh, this makes it a little easier.
Yeah, that's great. That's like one of our big things at Times of V2 is kind of redefining or just kind of broadening the definition of entrepreneurship, because I think so many people, like you said, are so wrapped up in it. It looks like Jeff Bezos, it looks like Elon Musk, or all of these like big tech guys, where like an entrepreneur is like a small business owner too. And so that's really cool that that was part of your journey, because I think that's really important. A lot of people have that moment of realizing that. So you started in August 2020 full time, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Right. So it's been more than a year now. How has your business grown since you started full time?
Yeah. So when I first started, it was just like, okay, what are we doing? But I was actually able to, not only through using outlets like Score, being able to actually get a mentor to say, oh, Danielle, you're on track for revenue goals. And so with using the organization like Score, actually having a mentor, not only gaining the mentor, but a mentor being able to help me to plan out revenue goals to be able to hire within fall of this upcoming year. And so because of that, I'm like, oh, wow, hiring. I didn't even think about about that. But it actually made it easier for me. So now being on track to actually price higher, being able to actually have speaking engagements like this, just by talking and raising my hand, being able to actually mentor other people that are around me, mentoring my peers, which I never thought I would be doing, but actually helping my peers that are actually coming from my school that are in marketing, some who are not in marketing, some who are actually in early childhood education like me, being able to mentor them and actually inform them about how I started entrepreneurship and helping them with also their side, kind of their side hustles and making it into actually passion projects and all of those things as well too. And being able to prepare myself to now, because I talk so much, being able to apply to conferences and people actually are reaching out that, hey, Danielle, I want you to speak in our conference because of your social media marketing, things like that.
That's awesome. What does your like revenue look like right now?
Yeah, so now my revenue looks like I'm bringing in about 6,000 a month.
Awesome.
Yeah, so based on, because of the premium pricing, of course, but bringing in 6,000 a month because of social media management and also social media strategy as well.
Gotcha. And then how many customers do you have or clients?
Yeah, so I do quarterly. So I do like 3 clients quarterly because it's 3 months of social media management. So I like to do 3 clients quarterly.
Cool. And then I know you kind of mentioned this. Did you end up hiring? Do you have any employees?
Yeah, so I did a VA last year, but I'm actually looking to actually get another, like looking for what my org chart actually should look like for an agency and making sure that I set it up like that. So with the help of my mentor, I'll be able to do that. With the help of even coaches that I'm going to be also looking into more coaching this year, business coaching, and being able to do that to set myself up correctly.
That's awesome. So VA, that's visual assistant, right?
Yeah, so the VA will be like your virtual assistant,
Virtual.
where they're kind of like doing the emails and scheduling while you do kind of like the big picture stuff. They're helping you with the back end and systems.
Gotcha. That makes sense. And then have you raised any funding?
So right now I'm looking into actually raising funding through finding grants and actually applying to grants. So this is the month of applying to grants, and seeing what I can actually apply for, what I want to. So I'm learning about what's the difference between a business grant and actually getting government grants, and learning about which one I need for what offering I'm providing.
Gotcha. And then obviously you're part of SCORE's mentorship program. Is there any other resource that you've used or are leaning on as you are building your business?
Yeah, so I use Score, of course. I use, like I referenced before, I use Trove Social Academy. So it's like, it's owned by Trove Branding Consultants, where they have a social media manager agency where they're telling you kind of like, hey, this is what it looks like to be a social media manager. The other thing too is that the social media schedule that I use, later.com, has this awesome Later social club where all of us, it's kind of like a social media manager party over there, but we're all literally talking about what it's like to be a social media manager, giving each other resources, job opportunities are there as well. They also help with paid transparency because we're all talking about, hey, this is how much I charge for this. Am I charging correctly? And that's another place where I'm able to talk about paid transparency as well. And then through Later Social Club, they have trainings consistently where they bring in experts, like really awesome experts that have like 6-figure companies, people who have been social media managers. They did just like us and just decided to just follow. And that is like kind of the main one that I do. And I love theirs because they bring in training all the time. And they're always asking us like, what do you guys need? What do you, how can we help you? And then we even get to give feedback on the actual platform of how it can be better for us as social media managers.
That's awesome. And then you kind of sprinkled in some advice as we've been talking, but I'm curious what your advice is to entrepreneurs who are getting started or people who are wanting to make the leap into their business full time. What are your top pieces of advice for them?
Yeah, so if you're at a 9 to 5 right now, I would suggest using the 9 to 5 to help you plan and fund your entrepreneurship. because that's what I did with teaching. Is because I had a teaching salary, I was able to use that to help me to save up for stuff and also to plan things accordingly. Also researching courses that you're about to use. Do you actually need it, or is it just kind of euphoria where you're like excited about it? And then making sure that you also are leaning into resources, like we said before, like Score, where you can actually get free advice from people who've had multiple companies. So like they have plenty of mentors on there that had literally owned companies and sold them. And so if you plan on keeping your company or selling it, they can give you advice on that. The other thing too that I would say is go on LinkedIn and actually ask questions. People on LinkedIn love to talk about themselves. Of course, that's what social media is about, but you actually get to learn about people who have done what you've done already or are literally in the process of doing what you're doing. So you can learn from two people, two ways, ones that already done it or ones that are in the process. And so the people that have already done it, you can actually just message them and actually reach out and ask them like, hey, do you offer mentorship? Do you, because a lot of them, it says reaching out to, and they are looking for mentors, like looking for mentees to be able to mentor them. You just have to reach out and message them. The other thing I love too is Lunch Club. I would recommend using Lunch Club as well, because you can find people and just be able to meet with them for 30 minutes to bounce ideas off, to actually do business connections, to business development, to even raise funding on there, because that's another place where I found where I was able to find business grants on there too. So that's the ones I'm applying to this month as well. And just reaching out. The other thing too is making sure that, I know people say this all the time, but tunnel vision is a really awesome thing with entrepreneurship. Figuring out what your goals are allows you to understand what you should align yourself with, because everybody might be launching a company around you, but they may not be launching a company in the same way as you. So for me, I know that I'm doing an agency model, but somebody who's not doing an agency model, I couldn't exactly get too much mentorship from them because I do want to build mine in a certain way. So making sure that you use tunnel vision so that way you're not using comparison, and then also following accounts that actually uplift you instead of drain you. People say this all the time, but I do think it's helpful for us as entrepreneurs, because then you start to question why you became an entrepreneur when you start to look at people who are 10 to 15 years ahead of you, instead of actually looking at people who are kind of around you, who are kind of in that same sense. So following more entrepreneurs who are like you, talking to more people, DMing more people, just not being afraid to actually put yourself out there allows you to be able to get what you need. And then when you raise your hand, people are able to help you because you've actually said, this is what I need help with. How can you help me? And they're looking to help you.
And do you normally just do that on social media, following more people that are like you, or is there other like avenues you suggest?
Yeah, so following more people on social media that are like you, connecting with different groups in your local city. So you can have different business chapters in your city or different business organizations within your city. They could be connected to colleges. You can find it through your college if you're a college student. And even if you're not a college student, you can find them as well. The other thing too is reaching out to your old professors and seeing what kind of organizations that they're a part of that could actually help you with whatever path you're taking. So even though I did early childhood education, my professors still, I can still be able to reach out to my professors, because some of them have businesses, some of them also have done teaching, so they're able to still like help me with that, because teaching skills are still needed in marketing. And then being able to reach out to your government has local like organizations that help with businesses. So whether it's the like the women-owned businesses or minority women-owned businesses, they have different programs where they'll give you webinars and give you specific strategic advice, and you can kind of bounce ideas off them as well too.
Cool. That's awesome. Cool. Well, I think that's all my questions for you. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, usually like one or two follow-up questions tend to come up, so I'll probably be in touch, and then I'll also be in touch when we publish too.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, have a great day.
See you. Bye.
Bye.